the things you think are going to happen are not the things that happen. And how you approach it is everything.
Welcome to Journeys Through Change, a podcast that inspires women to let go of the fear and say yes to possibility. I'm your host, Noelle Van, an author, creator, and empowerment coach who spent years in corporate America helping innovators and leaders ride the waves of change with ease and grace. I now work with women to step into change and unleash the power they have to create a life they love. Whether you're contemplating a change in your career, relationship, health, lifestyle, or anything in between, nothing's off the table. I'll be offering up simple insights to help you manage the ups and downs of change and sharing interviews with successful women who took a leap of faith to create the life they knew they were meant to live, sharing their wisdom, advice, and all the juicy lessons they learned along the way. So get cozy in your favorite comfy chair and let's get started. When you were little, did you ever dream of what you thought your life would be like? Whether it was visions of a cool career, a perfect marriage, or a life of travel and adventure? Looking back on it, has it turned out exactly how you pictured it? The truth is, life can be messy and wonderful and difficult and equally amazing. There are no absolutes. As women, we are constantly swaying to the rhythm of life and reinventing ourselves as time goes by. Our perspective is shaped by all of our experiences, and it's our ability to embrace life's little detours to create something new that makes us stronger. My guest today is Jane Hamill, a true creator who is no stranger to reinvention. Jane's passion started early. She grew up designing and sewing clothes for family members and went on to study design in New York and Paris before she started her own clothing line and opened Jane Hamill Boutique in Chicago's Lincoln Park at age 25. As her retail business took off, she began to showcase her collections in Bloomingdales, Macy's, Saks, and hundreds of specialty stores. After her first marriage ended at 29, she eventually remarried, adopted 2 beautiful boys, and due to family priorities, decided to sell her business after 14 years and jump into the world of retail consulting. She soon built a thriving community with her brand Fashion Brain, providing inspiration, guidance, and a boatload of business expertise to fashion, accessories, and jewelry designers worldwide. As her consulting business continues to thrive, she's embraced her longtime passion for gardening and has co-founded a new venture, North Branch Natives, a homegrown sustainable business offering native plants and gardening classes to those interested in cultivating beauty and pollinator habitat in their own backyard. Jane is a force to be reckoned with when it comes to reinvention, taking on new challenges, and with each next step, she seems to tap into an even higher level of contribution, service, and creativity. Jane, I am beyond excited to have you here with us to share your story. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. And wow, that intro. I like it.
Your life is impressive.
You know, if I'm having a tough day, I'm going to go back and listen to that. I am. Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Know it.
Now, Jane, I don't even know how to start with you because I feel like I want to ask you 2 things at once. I want to ask you about Paris and New York because it sounds fabulous. And that was, how old were you when you were in Paris?
I was in college, junior-ish year, but I transferred schools. Might have taken me 5 years to do college.
Hey, why not?
Yeah,
why not?
I mean.
So, but you were there for, how long were you there for?
I was there for 6 months and I was a French girl. I mean, I was French. If anybody said, where are you from? I'd be like, Paris. Yeah, I was just all up in there.
You were in school there?
Yeah. So I started college at Boston University. I was a little bit not sure what to study. I wanted to study fashion design, but it wasn't something a girl from the suburbs of Minneapolis did. And so I went to BU, which was great. I was supposed to be choosing a major, which was either going to be economics or art history for me. That's always kind of how I like to go. And so, so then I switched to FIT, the Fashion Institute in New York, and then I did a semester in Paris, and it was all the things.
Oh, I love it. And did you have the itch? It sounds like you were sewing for family. You were doing all of that stuff early on.
Yeah, I was. I started sewing. I was one of those classic, I was sewing for my Barbie dolls kind of kids.
Oh.
I maybe learned, I don't know, I was 7 or 8. And my sister Ruth, who's 4 years older than me, she was sewing. And I was like, hey, can you teach me how to do that? And she literally, Noelle, she goes, yeah, read the instructions. She handed me a Vogue pattern and told me to read the instructions. And I was like, but I did. And I did it. Yeah.
Well, that's like flying by the seat of your pants. Wait, how old were you at that point?
Give me McCall's or like Simplicity, like Vogue. Come on, man. That was a tough pattern. I think I was like 7 or 8.
But so you really have had the drive to do it since day one.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to kind of wrap my brain around the fact that at 25, now granted, maybe it's like a generational thing, but I think of like what I was doing at 25, and I certainly was not opening a boutique.
Oh, I don't know if a lot of 25-year-olds now are doing that, girl.
Well,
I don't know.
they're starting a lot earlier to be doing bigger and better things. But what got you? So you come back. Okay, let's go back to this. You come back from Paris.
Barely. I called my dad and I said, I'm not coming back. I just want you to know that I love it here. I'm born to be here. I made a lot of connections here, Dad, and I'm going to get a job in Paris. And I'm not going to come back to do my final year of school at FIT. And my dad,
how did that go?
Silence. And I was like, that's what I'm going to do. Silence. I'm like, oh, did I lose the connection? And he says, okay, Jane, if that's what you want to do, then you will be responsible for paying for your senior year of college. And I was like, I'll see you Tuesday. I cried on that airplane for 8 hours, girl. I cried my eyes out.
Oh, that is crushing.
I mean, it was for me. He was like, shut the front door, get your ass home. But I was all in. I was like, I'm staying here. So I came back and I did my last year at FIT, and then I got a job in the garment industry on 7th Avenue in New York.
Oh, okay. So that's where. Okay, so then you go to New York, and you were in New York for how long?
So I'd been in school in New York, so I was only there a total of 5 years, really.
Okay.
But the job that I got was a classic garment industry, garmento kind of thing. It sounds great, but it was not glamorous. It was cool because there's lots of colors and stuff. And, I don't know, people who are watching the thing, like, you're using dress forms and stuff. Like you're throwing around colors and fabrics and things like that all day, which is cool. But I just worked for a big like coat company. And I was in the children's department, which I had zero interest in kids. But that's the job I could get. And they sold to Walmart and stuff. And when Walmart first called, they're like, it's like God was calling. And I was like, oh, God, this is not why I went to fashion school.
Oh.
To design children's coats that they sell at Walmart. But it was good, it was a job.
So what gave you the bug to go out on your own? Was this kind of brewing inside of you as you're working in New York, or was it later?
No, I was always entrepreneurial growing up. I was always entrepreneurial. I was sewing clothes for people in high school. I went to the gym with my dad, this like Minneapolis Health Athletic Club, MAC. And 2 women in the dressing room were like, oh, I love your jumpsuit. I'm like, oh, thanks, I made it. They're like, oh my gosh, would you make me one? I'm like, of course, it'll be this much $. Like I was always selling stuff all the time. At FIT, I remember they asked, how many of you want to own your own business? And like every hand went up in the room and I was like, well, I could never do that. Like, I just thought you go to fashion school, you work for a big company, you design in a cubicle, you fly to China to get things produced. Like, I don't know. It didn't ever occur to me that I could have my own business. It wasn't really on my radar, to be honest, in the beginning. But then I worked for people and then I was like, maybe there's a better way.
So that was kind of the impetus to go, I don't want to be working for anybody but myself.
Kind of. And I also just thought I had these great ideas that I needed to bring to life, not to serve the people or the planet or the customers, but because I was such a great designer, So it wasn't altruistic, my friend, at all.
Well, but let me say, okay, at age 25, how does one open a business?
One has no effing clue what one is supposed to be doing. I talked to a friend of mine who had a collection and he was selling to boutiques because back then there was no interwebs. So it wasn't like I could just go direct to consumer. So you could do like markets or you could sell to stores. And he said, if I were you, you know what I would do? It would be really easy. I would just open up a retail store. I was like, that sounds really easy. Yeah. Okay. And so my buddy Marcus suggested have a store, sell in the front, make clothes in the back, or have sewers. It'll be a great business. I'm like, I want that. Yes.
That sounds like a pop-up shop idea. You know what I mean? Like,
That did not exist, girl.
I know I was going to say it sounds like a simplistic way of like, oh, just you'll be working in the back. People will come in the front.
Exactly. Like, it's so easy. It's so easy. So I wanted to do that. And so I was working for a company in Chicago. I quit my job in New York. And I quit my job because I wanted to travel to Spain for 5 weeks with my best friend, Allison. And we did. And then when I came back, I'm like, okay, I have to look for a job. But I wanted to move to Chicago, where my family had moved. So I'm looking for a job and I get one and blah, blah, blah. But I don't like it. And I want to start this store. But I got no money. I got no game. I got no connections. I got no rich family. I got nothing. But I'm dating a guy who was getting his MBA at Northwestern at Kellogg. And he's like, well, you need a business plan. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't, fashion school. And he's like, no, you're going to need a business plan. I'm like, well, there's no way I can do this business. I don't have 2 cents to rub together. There was no Kickstarter back then. You know, it wasn't,
Right.
I couldn't go to a bank and be like, here's my favorite bracelet. Give me some money. I literally just started talking about it, not on purpose, but I went to a family party and it was like a Christmas party and my uncle John was there. And he was always like my buddy and he would do things. We had this special little like niece thing where he'd make a line and then I'd have to draw a picture out of it and give it back to him and they'd make another one. So it was like this little party game that we used to play. So he always considered me like his creative little artsy niece, right?
Uh-huh.
Anyway, he says, what are you up to? I'm like, it's job that, my job's moving back to New York. I don't want to move back to New York. What I really want to do is start this store, design these clothes, but, I don't know how that'll happen, but I'm working on my business plan. He goes, you're working on your business plan? And I go, yeah, I'm about halfway through. And he's like, send it to me. And I was like, why would I do that? No, like, why would I do that? Because I was like, nosy uncle, God. And so 2 weeks went by. I didn't send it to him. I just ignored it. And he goes, hey, I didn't get your business plan yet. I'm like, oh, it's going in the mail right now. And I'm like, okay, so he sent in my business plan. First of all, I finish it, send it. He calls me 2 weeks later. I get this phone call. I'm like, oh my God, who died? Uncle John's on the phone. And he says, Jane, I read your business plan. There's some things that are probably not quite right, but your other uncle and I really like it. And we'd like to invest in your business and give you $25,000.
Whoa.
They were going to own 49%. I had 51. They were going to give me 25,000. I had saved 2,000. I was very proud.
Nice.
And we did the deal.
Oh my God.
I mean, I literally was working on that business plan and saying, there's no way this is going to happen. I'm wasting my time. This is stupid. I'm filling out this business plan where I have zero chance of ever doing this business.
Did he have a completely different line of work or was he just...
Oh yeah, no. Well, it turns out, you never know when you have a rich uncle. Which, I was too young to like realize, but he's like a stockbroker in Lake Forest. Okay. And so like, he's just a guy who was nice, had money and like saw an opportunity to help. He was billing it as we see an opportunity to make money off you, but I know he was, whatever reasons, he invested in my business just like that.
That's amazing.
That is literally what happened. And it was a life-changing experience for me.
Oh my God. Okay. So now you have funding. Like, how do you start?
Yeah. So I looked around at neighborhoods. Back then I went and I talked to the chambers of commerce in different neighborhoods. And then I parked my booty out in front of the final 2 spots that were available for rent in the neighborhoods. I did I went to the library. I did all the research on the census and who lives there and their ages and whatever. But that sort of like huge demo data is not really that useful in the end, because in the end, what I did, not knowing what to do, I just went to a cafe and then in this place, a restaurant across the street from the place that I was interested in renting. And I sat there and I made a little note every time somebody walked by who looked like they'd be somebody who would buy my stuff.
Your own little demographic research.
Yeah.
You were doing your analytics right there.
Old school. I didn't know better, which now that I realize it probably is the best thing to do, but I didn't know because I was looking at all this data and saying, well, there's 24 to 31-year-olds who make this much money, whatever. But yeah, I literally just counted the number of women, young women who walked by. If they had a bag, like what brand was it in the neighborhood? Like where were they shopping? Would they be someone who'd buy my stuff? Were they too preppy? Were they too fraternity girl, sorority girl? Like were they, that was it. And I was like, well, this one's got the people. They walk by this neighborhood. And it was a recession when I opened. It was 1992. So rents were cheap, but it was a recession.
Now, how would you describe your style? Was it very particular? Like, because I think of Lincoln Park. You think of that's like people that are up and coming, moving into the city, probably have a certain type of style.
It still was back then, but I was on Lincoln Avenue where there are also 3 independent bookstores, 2 movie theaters, the Biograph. So it was cool. It was pretty cool. It soon turned a lot more yuppie, I would say.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of young women going out needing outfits for dates. And so, I'd gone to fashion school. I'd lived in Paris and New York. So I was like all of that. But I just tried to tone it down a little bit. Like, it was really just like, what do I want to wear? Basically, it was really all about me. All about me.
But I mean, that is kind of where it starts, right? It's like that's where your creativity comes from. It's coming from you.
I mean, in an ideal world, I would have reverse engineered, like, who's the customer? How can I serve them? And then come up with the product. What a lot of fashion designers do, and a lot of people do, is we're like, look at my work. Who wants to buy it? And that's just a much more difficult business model because you're like, I have cute stuff. You want it? And you have to like shop it around and get rejected all the time. Whereas if you really understand the customer and you see what they're wearing, you talk to them and you interview them and you say, what do you wish you had in your closet that you don't already have? They might have told me some things that I could have created that would have sold better.
Yeah, but now you were in Bloomies, you were in, like, how did that all develop?
I'm smart, but I'm also really stupid in some ways because I'm in my store. I had just opened in October 30th. Okay. And it's Christmas Eve day. And I just want to get out of there and have my family dinner. People are walking in shopping on Christmas Eve. And I'm like, how quickly can I get you people out here so I can go home and have like some turkey or something? And a woman walks in and she's shopping. I go, what do you need? Who's the gift for? And she's like, oh, no, I'm just looking. I'm like, just looking. It's Christmas Eve. What the hell? Don't you have like a thing? Anyway, so she says in a minute, she goes, actually, I'm a buyer at Marshall Field's, Dayton Hudson. And I was like, okay, that's nice. Like, well, whatever. What do you need? I need to get out of here. Like, I was really literally like rushing her.
I've actually opportunity that just walked in.
Yeah, no. I was like, I don't know. That's great. You work for a big department store. Awesome. Well, what does that have to do with me? I need to go like eat cookies. Okay. So she's super nice and she knows my sister's friend's cousin, somebody who she works with in a PR firm downtown. Like, it's one of those things. Yeah. And she's like, I really, really like your dresses. Do you have like a line sheet or something you could send me? I could send to my buyer. And I was like, yeah, sure. Put down your stuff. Are you ready? Okay, thanks. I'll do that. Yeah, bye. 2 weeks went by. I didn't do it. I didn't see how Marshall Field's, which is now Macy's, how can I sell to them? Like, I didn't compute. Just like you don't know you have a rich uncle because you're young. Like, and then you're like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Like, for him, $25,000 is not that much, right?
Right.
So she calls me 2 weeks later and she's like, hey, I didn't get your stuff. I'm like, oh, it's going in the mail right now. It kind of hit me at that time, but I was like, what am I doing? She's asking for this and I didn't do it. I think it's just fear. I don't know. But I sent her the packet and she said, we like it. Could you fly to Minneapolis on this day and show the buyer your goods? And I was like, oh my God. Yes, I can. I had $0 to my name. When I say broke, I have no idea how I'm going to get there. A flight to Minneapolis in 1992 for the day, because I had no one to cover my store, was $550. I just charged it, girl. I was like, ran up some debt. I went there. I showed the line. I humiliated myself with the stupid things. They asked me questions. I did not even know what she was saying. Standard things like, well, what's your delivery on these pieces? And I'm like, delivery? Like, I'm thinking like, UPS? Like, how do you deliver goods? I don't know. And she's like, what's your delivery is a very standard. Like, anybody would know it. Like, what's your delivery date? What are your ship dates? And so I was like, well, I don't. And she goes, the buyer even was like, what I mean, Jane, is if I were to place an order with you, when would you ship it? And I was like, oh, when do you need it? I did. I literally said, when do you want it? Somehow she gave me an order. And I was like, oh my God, I'm in a big box store. It's crazy. And I was shipping in April. Yeah, it was crazy.
God. And was that a ramp up? I mean, to then learn like shipping and all those things?
Not only that, the terms, the rules they have, I just thought I ship them things and they pay me, right?
Right.
No, that's not really how it works. The buyer called up and was like, we do 810 EOM terms with most of our vendors. Is that cool with you? And I'm like, well, if that's what you do with most of your vendors, okay. No idea what it was. I didn't know. I called my friend from FIT. I'm like, what is this? He's like, you did not say yes. I'm like, I did. She said they do it all the time. He's like, sure, she said that. You just gave away 8%.
Oh, My God. But you're in.
I'm in, baby. I go to Water Tower Place and my stuff is there. It was really
Oh,
cool. Yeah.
my God. Now, how many years were you in the big box stores? Like, how was that a 5-year time span, or what was
It was
the?
off and on. I did it and then I got burned and then I was like, I don't know if I need this. And then I don't know if they dropped me or I just got sick of it because it's hard to make it profitable when you don't know what you're doing.
Well, and is it just you?
It was
It's
just
just you
me.
manufacturing. So you're
No, no,
making all
no.
the
I
pieces.
was not making, I never sewed. Okay. Anyone listening who has anything to do with making accessories or jewelry or whatever, I never sewed the production, you guys, ever.
Got it. Okay.
I would never do that. I think that's
Yeah.
crazy pants. I did sew the samples in the very first
Okay.
season. But other than that, I had sewers, I had small factories that I used in New York and Chicago.
Got it. Okay. That makes more sense.
The people that I have worked with who sew things themselves, if you're sewing, you're not selling. I don't know how you make money with that business model. I just don't.
I would imagine it's bigger orders too, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a $40,000 order, the first order.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was smaller. Yeah, this is big stuff for a small company. And you need a real factory. And, you need somebody who can deliver a product that fits on time. Quality is good. It's no small task to sell to a big box store. It's not ideally recommended for someone in their second season or first season. I wouldn't say that was the best.
Think of how quickly you had to learn that, though.
Yeah.
So you had your boutique for 14 years, correct?
14 years. Yep.
And okay, so then you make a decision. You have your 2 little boys, right? And they're little
Yes.
at the time.
They're little. So I had moved locations a couple times. I was in the first location for 5 years. And I think this is a good story about, I'm walking with my sister. Again, it's my sister, Ruth, the truth teller, the one who's like, just read the thing. I'm walking and I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm turning 30 and I'm about to make $30,000 a year. And I was so excited. I'm turning 30, I'm going to make 30 and my own business. And she's like, that's really not very much money. And I was like, excuse me? We're walking along. We're like by the Red Tomato on Southport in Chicago. And I'm like, what did you just say? She goes, I mean, I'm just saying it's just not really very much money. And I was like, Bay Arch from hell. But then literally like 3 weeks later, like it stuck with me and I was like, I got to do something. I got to make more money. She's right. It broke my heart and I hated her. I literally moved to a new location, ended up buying the space. I started playing bigger when she said that. That was really scary because I went from Lincoln Avenue where I understood and it was young people. And then I went to Armitage, which was like big time. And then I ended up buying a space there. And I'm still the landlord for that space.
Oh my God. This is after the fact. So you invest in the space. Did that shift something inside you?
Well, first I just rented a space, but the space it was way more happening on that street. It was bigger. It shifted everything inside of me. It was like, do not show up, the least bit not ready to go.
Right. Armitage is a big shop.
It's a bit, yeah. And back then it was the place. And so It was like, there's a book, Stephen Pressfield, called Turning Pro. And I feel like that was a real turning pro moment. Like I went from like, I have this cute little store to like, I have a store, I have a manager. I already had a full-time manager, but like I had employees, I had people, I had payroll, I had all the things. Then I had a partner approach to say, would you go back into wholesale and we'll be the whole manufacturing side of the business? And I did. So then the business really grew. Yeah. So I went from making 30 and making a little bit of profit to like making money after 5 years. Yeah.
Well, and when you think about anything, I would think that most brick and mortar stores, what do I know? But I would imagine that it takes time for that to happen, for you to make a profit, for you to get beyond like the expense and all of that. And then you start to, but timeline, who knows what that's supposed to look like? I love that was just the impetus for you to be like, okay, I'm going to play bigger.
A customer's husband owned a very big furrier, which I didn't know of because that wasn't my wheelhouse, but I knew they had been around for 100 years. I met with the guy and he said something like location. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, there's great location. He's like, is it that great? And I was like, I didn't think anything of it, but I wonder if that had something to do with it. Because I was like, the big money people are over there and the tourists and, but it was a really scary move. I was petrified.
Oh my God. I love that though. I just love that because it feels like it catapulted you to a different level.
Yeah. I was playing with the big boys then.
So now once you have your kids though, I know that was a pivotal moment.
We adopted 2 kids. Feels like 3. Sometimes it was 2. Those of you listening on the podcast, I'm holding up 3 fingers, meaning to hold up 2 because that's just how I roll. So the second kid has a lot of health troubles, difficulties. He had emergency surgery when he was 4 years old. He had a hole in his stomach. Like, it was just a lot. And he had asthma. We were going to be in for a lot of stuff. And my husband at the time was a prosecutor. He still is, but he was a DA. His job was completely inflexible. And I was traveling. At that point, I had reps in 5 different cities. I was wholesaling all over. I had, a showroom rep in different cities, LA, New York, Dallas, whatever. And I was traveling to Europe a couple times a year. I was traveling for fabric sourcing. I was traveling to show, like I would show at these big trade shows like Coterie in New York. And then I would be like, hold on, I got to go buy that sweater line for my store. But then I was selling, it was just a lot.
Oh my God.
And I didn't know how to do that with a sick kid. I knew how to do that with a healthy kid because I had a great nanny and I had help and I had support and I had a store manager and assistant manager. I had layers of people. And one thing I found for anybody who's an entrepreneur, I found the hardest time was when you're not just by yourself and you don't have enough of a team that they get the call first before you do. When you're kind of in that messy middle where you have business coming in and it's a lot to do, but you can't quite afford the help or you're afraid to hire the help, that is, I think, the hardest period. But at that point, I had like people. I had a great team that was reliable. And so my life was pretty manageable, but the travel and I was a micromanager. I didn't know how to really let them do stuff.
There's a lot of balls in the air in that kind of a situation, I can imagine.
But I didn't evolve as a human. I still was treating it like a startup. And so it's something that I see now. Like I didn't reinvent as a boss. Yeah. I was like, you're fine, do it. Great. I just did drive-by delegating. They'd be like, could I have a review? I'm like, wow, you're doing great. What's the problem? Like, I didn't want to run it like a business. So that was a lesson learned. But so George was born and I was like, I don't know how to do this. And I was getting tired. It had been 14 years and I was getting a little burned out. Really? Because I wasn't reinventing myself. Like, I could have run that business 3 days a week with my hand tied behind my back. And it was profitable. Like, my husband was pissed that I sold it. He's like, why are you selling a really profitable business? I'm like, I don't know how to do this and have a sick kid. Like, I have to be there. Someone's got to take him to all these doctor's appointments and it's not going to be the nanny. So it's going to be one of us. Ain't going to be you because you're like trying murder trials over there. So I decided to close it, but then somebody asked if they could buy it. That was a really interesting thing because I thought it's called Jane Hamill. Like, it's all about me. And how can you sell your name and your own designs? But we ended up making this deal where she was buying the business. She could keep the name for a year. I would design for her for a year for just the store. She bought the wholesale business too, but I was kind of like, that was not going to be pursued at the moment. So we did that. And then she changed the name and then I was the landlord too. So that was kind of cool.
Oh, is she still there?
No, she's not. She did it for 3 years and then did she sell it or she quit? I can't recall.
That's kind of a nice soft landing though.
It was great. And financially it was great.
Yeah.
All the things. Yeah.
What I find very intriguing about this, it's like you obviously had this internal seed that was starting to grow of like, I need to push myself a little bit harder. I mean, the family thing, obviously that takes precedence and priority, but it sounds like you kind of knew too that there was another chapter.
I got to tell you, that second kid was my golden ticket because I wanted to be out and I didn't know how to get out when you're making money. It was 2007. Like, things were great. Yeah. Yeah. And so little did I know it was coming. I sold it, before 2008 crash, but I was ready. I really wanted to do something. I thought I would stay home with the kids, Noelle. I'm like, this is going to be great. I'm going to stay home with the kids. But that lasted 5 weeks.
Oh my gosh. Okay. 5 weeks. Were you getting antsy?
It was so boring. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to just be like, oh, okay, honey, let me wipe down the kitchen counter one more time. It was not for me. So I had to find something that was less all in. And the crazy thing was, I knew this was a reinvention. I wanted to reinvent myself, but I didn't know the next thing. And since I sold the business, I knew I had some money and some time to just chill. And so I thought it would be really great and fun to just be the full-time mom. I'm using the wrong words because all of us are full-time moms, but it was too hard. It was really hard. And I didn't have in me to do it. So the woman who helped broker the deal between me and the buyer, she said after I sold it, and the last thing she said, let's go out for lunch. And she offered me a job as a retail consultant on the side. And I was like, I got to think about that because I think I just want to stay home with the kids. And if, 5 weeks in, I'm like, hey, how about that gig? And I also started teaching at Columbia College, which was great.
Nice.
Yeah, I reached out to them when I knew I was selling my business, and I said, hey, do you ever need instructors? And they're like, you've been on our radar for years. We never thought you'd say yes. And I was like, well,
how did you like teaching? I did not know that. I did not know
I
that you
did it
taught.
for a long time. I did it for like 10 years. I really like Columbia College. I like the people, but I'm not doing it anymore. I don't know what it is, but right now it's not something I'm doing.
Yeah. But did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it. And I also, when you work from home, having a place to be at a certain time, like for years, I taught Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. So I'd be there by 8, dressed, makeup, the full 9 outfit. I remember coming down the stairs and Georgie looked up at me. He goes, oh, Mama, you look like a princess. And I was like,
it's Wednesday, George.
I was like, dude, it's Wednesday, babe. This is your Wednesday, Mama, So it was the perfect thing to have a balance of like doing the mom thing and doing the brain thing. Like, and again, I'm not dissing on people who stay home with their kids at all.
No, it's a very important job. I mean, but it's not for that's the thing. I think that especially if you were 14 years doing something very, very different, I can imagine that adjustment would be.
Yeah. And I was a workaholic.
So you do the consulting with her. How did you branch off into doing Fashion Brain?
I love the way you ask questions. This is such a fun thing. So I'm doing the retailers, and I always love spreadsheets, even though I'm the weird designer. I mean, again, at BU, I was like economics or art history. So I'm kind of the weird designer who really loves both sides of the brain. It uses it a lot, and I love spreadsheets, and I love running the numbers, and I love cost of goods sold. And so I was doing a lot of inventory forecasting with them, open to buy numbers, a lot of inventory, cash flow, and then marketing, because they're always looking to make more sales. So I really enjoyed that. And I got a call from somebody saying it was a nonprofit that sets women up with mentors. And they're like, would you consider being a mentor? Somebody is in our program and they specifically ask for you. And I was like, what? But I was a little like, the flattery was not, I was like, well, who would ask for what was it? Well, how can I help them? And they're like, well, she's a fashion designer and she wants to open a fashion business. And I'm like, oh, I'm doing retail consulting. They're like, well, she's a designer. And I mean, you did that too. I'm like, yeah, I did both, of course. So I said yes. And it was 6 months, and it was like pretty serious pro bono gig. And I loved it. I loved it. I did it pro bono, and then she hired me after that. And then I was like, oh, I'm a business girl. I did the same type of consulting, but just with designers instead of retailers. And I still am very friendly with Kathy Wagner from Retail Mavens. She's the one that I worked with. I still work with her. She teaches in my programs. I teach in hers. She's like my friend now. It's just turned out to be epic.
Oh, that is incredible. Well, and you think about too, all the different, you've kind of woven in different things. As you move to one thing, you've always landed somewhere, but then it's like that readjustment. You moved into consulting, but then it was like, oh, you thought you were going to go this route. You kind of decide to go that route. But I mean, and you are a perfect blend of the creativity, and you also are a numbers girl, which I only can say this from experience working with you. From someone who's not a numbers girl, absolutely. I definitely am in awe of how your brain works, because you can jump in and out. And I can imagine when you're working with other designers, creatives, that is a huge help to them.
I can see their brains just start to shut down when I say the word spreadsheet. Like they literally kind of panic and like back away a little. And even, what's kind of random thing is like spreadsheets with plans and words freak me out a little, but numbers I'm fine with. It's just so funny. Like a lot of people do like their social media plan in a spreadsheet on like an Excel or a sheet like that. No, please no. Like I do it up here and then maybe it goes in a computer. But yeah, numbers, I love it.
So you opened Fashion Brain. When did you open it?
2010.
Oh, okay. Okay. Had you been working with other designers, people? I mean, how did that What kind of
I mean, I got the one from the like, could you do this pro bono gig? And they got me at the perfect time when I was like, oh yeah, sure. What do you need me to do? Like
Yeah.
I thought I was still sort of like, I just want to do a little bit of work and mostly kids.
Yeah.
And that was going great, but they just got me at the perfect time because it was a big commitment. So yeah, so then I just decided to become a coach. Oh, I know what I did. I hired Kathy Wagner. I hired her to be my coach.
Okay.
I spent $3,600 on her for I want to say a 6-month package, and I was completely freaked out about the money because I was like, how am I ever going to make $3,600 as a business coach on my own without Kathy's tools and the
Right.
inventory forecasting software, data, and stuff. So I pay her $3,600, and my mom is saying things like, when are you going to get your MBA? And I'm like, why do I need to get my master's? So you can teach full time. I'm like, I don't want to teach full time. Like nobody understood what I was doing. The people around me were saying, what are you doing? You're a fashion designer. That's who you are. And I'm like, not really. I don't really care. The weird adjustment of my identity when I sold that fashion business, I was like, yeah, I held on to the stuff and I did consider my fashion designer, but I didn't feel like a loss of creating anymore. I just didn't feel it. I had the kids, I had the yard, I don't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a huge identity crisis. People would say, how are you enjoying your retirement? And I would just want to punch them in the face. I was 40. I'm like, I'm not retired. I'm just like not doing that right now.
But it's kind of that classic where it's like you've told the world for the past 10 years this is what you do. And this is what you've told us who you are. And then you almost had that inner
Yes.
wisdom of like, no, 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 no. I'm not there yet. I'm not there
Yeah.
yet. I think it's so telling because like you said, you didn't hang on to that as your persona. Other people might have.
I didn't. As a matter of fact, I wanted to shed it, I think, because I did that essay for NPR called I Believe in Barbie. But what it was really about is I think fashion design is a stupid job because you're just creating clothes when there's like real problems in the world. And that really bugged me for a long time. And the fashion industry was getting worse and grosser and grosser. And then the whole like, we're hurting the planet with all these clothes. And so
Right.
it took me a while to be able to truly embrace that there is a place for fashion designers that is important and you do help women's confidence every single day with this job. I always struggled with is this job just stupid?
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Well, trying to find a deeper meaning in it.
Yeah, I really was. And I still struggle with that sometimes with some of my clients. And I really like working with people when they have a mission driven brand, like adaptive clothing for people with issues for doing buttons or elderly or something if someone's having chemo. Like I love working on products that have a very clear purpose. And a cute dress will make you feel better and probably, help you get the job. And that's
Yeah.
important, but it isn't as compelling as something that's more obvious and in your face serving the planet or the world or the customer. That is the thing that I think a lot of fashion designers face. And they're like, I don't want to be a part of the problem here. There's too many clothes in landfills. There's child labor. Like the fashion industry itself is just a hot mess. And we can be a force for good or we could just get the hell out of it.
Well, what do you see with your clients? Do you see any common patterns with clients? Like, what do they struggle with? Being in the industry, I'm sure that they run the gamut from people that are brand new to the industry to a little further along. Like, what do you see?
I find that I attract people who are not fashion people, really.
Ah, yeah,
Probably just because I don't care. They're like, did you see a fashion show? I'm like, why would I watch a fashion show? Like, I can't imagine what those models on that runway have to do with my life and how that's going to look on me. Like, I don't
right. Yeah,
care. I don't follow trends. I don't care about fashion, but I do care about showing up feeling good. And I do care about women. And I do care about women making their own money big time.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think getting divorced when I was 29 was a total mind F because I didn't see it coming. I didn't know that was going to happen. And it was a surprise to me. It was a classic, like, lost to now. And
Mm,
it scared the living daylights out of me because I just remember thinking, I'm 29 years old. I had my business, but yet, I wasn't 30 making 30 yet. I was still
mm-hmm.
playing kind of small. I remember thinking, if this was my sister who is a stay at home full time mom, she would be so screwed right now. She would have no job. She's been out of the workforce for how many years? That could be me. And it scared me so much to rely on another person for money. Not that I was, but still I knew I had a backup. I don't know. It's just,
Yeah.
it was really scary that I could be like one of my cousins or a friend from high school. This is what they do. They take care of the kids. And if their husband just up and left the next day, which is what happened, they would be screwed. Scare me to death. And I think after that, my mission when I started coaching was, you need your own money, girl. Do not rely on him, daddy, sugar daddy, trust fund, anything. Like, money is power. It really is. If you want to get divorced and you haven't worked in the workforce for 9 years, it's going to be harder. So like, maybe you just always need your own money.
Well, and do you find that you have people that you work with that you kind of need to talk through some of that with? I mean, I can imagine in the business that you're in, you deal with every aspect of entrepreneurship and all of the challenges that go with it.
I have a podcast weekly that I've been doing for years.
Yeah.
I've done YouTube videos. I'm pretty clear on my messaging. So I don't
Yeah.
get people right out of fashion school. I say things like fashion shows are a waste of your time. So the people who are really interested in certain things I don't attract them.
Yeah. That's perfect. It's like you're attracting the people that obviously resonate with you.
I mean, that didn't happen overnight.
Well, and you have to come into your own too, to really have the courage to do that, right? Because a lot of people want business.
You're so afraid to offend anybody. And I mean, it's not like I'm just not still afraid to offend people sometimes, but I have to just ground myself in there's enough people who will get it.
Right.
But sometimes you're like, I can't say bad things about fashion industry anymore. I'll lose all the fashion industry people. Well, whatever.
It doesn't sound to me like you're talking smack about the fashion industry in general. There's aspects of it that don't resonate with you.
Yeah.
And there's things that you appreciate more than others. And so it's kind of more of a priorities thing with you. And it's not, you're not the one going to Fashion Week in New York.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, you're just not that, but I think that really helps to make what you do super clear to people. So you're right. You're not going to get people that are looking you up who find that to be the top priority. So you are still doing coaching, correct?
Oh yeah, I do full-time coaching. That is my main gig. And then I have this side business with my business partner, Liz, who's my neighbor, who's the horticulturist.
So tell us quickly about that. I know I'm using up all your time, but I want to ask you this.
So, okay, if anybody ever said to me, you might have a partner again in a business and start a new business selling physical products, I'd be like, you cray, never happening. I'm a coach, like, not doing it. But oh my God, I love native gardening. I love pollinators. I love bees and butterflies and the earth. And I love trying to save the planet with just a little garden in your front yard. And so Liz is a genius, the true savant with designing native gardens. So you get all of the ecological benefits and just beauty, like straight beauty, man. And she's the plant whisperer. And so she really wanted to start a business. And I'm enamored with the whole category of business. And so we decided to go for it. And it's been a little over a year. There's a reason I didn't have a partner for that long. I don't play that well with others. And so it's not so easy for Liz to be my partner, but probably, I haven't asked her, but I don't bring it up. But the cool thing is that she's the plant person and I'm the marketing person. So I don't tell her oh, I think you should have more yellow in that garden. I stay in my lane, right. And she's, so that's been really interesting. And I also like it. She's my neighbor. Yeah. And we just met because she's walking her dog and I'd be like, hey. And then she'd start asking about whatever. And we just became friendly. And then we were like, hey, you want to go for a walk? And then we started talking and we'd go on walks and we both do the same things. Like, oh my God, did you see that tree? Did you see that berry growing on that tree? And then I turned out that's her industry, which I didn't know, so it was just really we love working together. We love being friends. And we have a team member who's amazing, also a horticulturist. We both have full-time jobs. And so we're doing this in a certain way. And, it is not perfect. It is not pretty. It is very messy. It is cash flow difficult. We're growing plants.
But it sounds like it feeds your soul. I mean, this is what it's all about.
It does, but running two businesses, girl.
Yeah,
Not a joke.
I know.
It is
I know.
not a joke. And it is not the advice that I would give to people. And it's, again, it's just you and the person, and you're just doing all the things. And then when you're big enough and you have layers, those are the
Yeah.
two types of businesses I like. The messy middle of the growth is very, very hard. We're in the messy middle right now.
Do you have thoughts of where you want it to go? I mean, are you thinking about it for the future, or is it more
Yeah,
something?
no. We're thinking about it for the future, and we're thinking less growing of plants, more design, because that is where
Nice.
she really shines. And then getting some like collaborative partners to grow, like not
Mm-hmm.
partners per se, but like Liz has got a growing the plants herself. Like she's doing
Wow.
all of
Yeah.
this. So we need to take some pressure off her and source the plants in place. But there's a lot of these natives, they're not really native. When you go to like Home Depot or whatever, they have these things that are cultivars that they're not actually native, and people think they are. And so it's just kind of a drag because it's not hard to do what we're doing, but people don't know about it.
So it's education, right?
What we've decided, and this is just a marketing lesson, is we can't take someone from I want boxwoods and mums to I want a native garden. If they don't understand the ecological benefits, we're not going to be there for that stage. But if somebody's into it, we just notice for marketing, like if I put in Facebook ads in front of people in these neighborhoods who compost, that's our
Mm-hmm.
gal. She gets it.
Right. Yeah.
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 We have realized from an ideal customer standpoint, just go after someone who's already there. Don't try
Right.
to convince the people who are a little bit interested how it works. When they're ready, they'll find us.
I love that. If you were to talk to yourself back at age 25 or even 30, right? Maybe 30 is the really pivotal time when you really
Yeah.
kind of had some epiphanies. Like, what would
25, I wouldn't have listened to myself or anybody. I'd be like,
it's distracting. It can be distracting.
duly noted for the record. Next. Like I would, yeah.
But what would you say to yourself? Like how, after all the journey you've been on so far, right? Because you still got a lot, you got more to do, clearly.
I would say probably two things. Number one, girl, take your time. Slow down. You do not have to grow an empire in the first 5 years of your business. You don't have to prove to your old boss, who, when I said I wasn't going to move back to New York with that job, he said to one of my coworkers, how would you want to sit at the store all day? Said something mean, which spurred me on to like crush him. A spite, like, oh, I'm going to show him I don't sit in the store all day. I have this and that. And,
Right.
doesn't have to come all at once. Take your time. Trust the universe that it's going to work out. And if it doesn't work out by a certain date, you don't implode. It's okay. And the other thing that I would probably recognize is there will be tears, lots of tears for lots of reasons. And when you're 25 or even 30, you think this is how it's going to be. And then, like, I thought I was going to be married forever. Psych. I thought I would have that store in this funky neighborhood with hips, kind of hip, fun people. The neighborhood changed completely. And I moved to more, I thought you have a retail store, and I wanted to be like Bergdorf Goodman. You have this space for like 100 years or whatever. And it's like this one amazing space. Turns out real estate, that's not New York City. You might need to move to the neighborhoods where the people are. So like the things you think are going to happen are not the things that happen. And how you approach it is everything.
The thing that is so telling about just your story to me, what it tells me about you, well, it's a lot of things, but it tells me that you have this flexibility and ability really to kind of, I don't know, shift and move with what's happening in your life. And so when you have clients that you work with, I mean, it is really a perfect combination of having that ability to adjust, but also having that creativity and that background that you have. That's, you're a creator. You want to
Yeah.
create things. And so whatever life kind of throws your way, you'll move with it and shift with it. And if I'm a new designer, or maybe a designer that's a few years in and I'm coming to you, what a wealth of wisdom you have to impart on me about that.
I don't want to do this. It becomes like when somebody said, how did you know you wanted to open a store? It was like, I felt like I had no choice. That was the only thing I could do.
Really?
And so like when I met Liz and she's talking about the plants and says, hey, would you ever think about business? I felt like I have no choice. This is what I have to do. So I think things get to a point where the decision is just made for you.
Yes.
You
It's an
know,
internal
like
knowing.
I was going to get rid of that business no matter what. And my golden ticket was the kid. Because it's a tough sell to go to your spouse and say, I know you want to work for Cook County for the rest of your life, and I'm making all this money over here, but I don't want to do it anymore. That's a tough sell in your marriage. And yeah, so yes, I reinvent fairly frequently, but I wouldn't say I'm looking for it. It just feels like,
Yes. I think you ride the waves
right?
pretty well. You ride the waves well, though. That's what I'll say. Because I think that
Yes.
you're right. It's not something you ask for, but you seem pretty internally driven. So even if that internal drive is not the popular thing in the
Yeah.
moment, you still do it. I'm going to ask you this. What are the next steps here? So you've got two thriving businesses, one that's in that messy stage. Where do you see yourself in the next 1 to 2 years? I won't go further out from there.
I think I'm going to travel a lot more. One thing that I really miss has been going to Europe twice a year, like I used to,
Oh,
or wherever. Kids, money, financially, just wasn't always the smartest choice. And then COVID. So I'm going to travel no matter what. I am thinking I feel loosened up in ways that I couldn't have guessed. Like
yeah.
I could take 1 week a month and go to a different city and do workshops there.
Oh, that sounds blissful.
So I don't know what I'm going to do, but I think it's going to be different. And I think I'm going to have both businesses for a
Yeah.
long time, but I don't know. I can't imagine not coaching because I do love it and it fills my soul so much. So right now I'm like, I'm trying to listen to the don't be in a rush.
Right.
My whole life has opened up in the past few months. Not only my kid saying I can drive myself, but like I don't want you with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole feeling of being needed places all the time is just not there, and it's freaking me out, and it's awesome too. Um,
Right.
it's awful and scary, but it's like I'm not going to choose a new direction right now. I got enough going on. But normally, this Jane would be like, okay, so I have like 6 extra hours now and I'm driving the kid. How should I fill it? And I'm like,
Yes.
how about you read a book, girl?
Well, and you are probably you're in an open space right now, right? It's like you're ready to receive, but you're not in any great hurry, which is the best place to be because that's when all the magic happens. When you may not even be doing anything. For the
Yeah.
next 2 months, you could be doing nothing and the wheels are spinning internally. You gotta just listen to yourself. And I think it's so great. And I have so many friends that have kids that have just gone off to college and I feel for them, but I also am so excited for them because you have that space right now to be like, okay, this is a shift. I'm kind of shifting back internally.
Yeah.
Let's see what's going to happen. Who knows?
I
Be open to it.
expected full on excitement and not this level of confusion and almost grief. I did not expect
Yeah.
this at all. I thought that was for those really hardcore mom types. But I am deep in it right now. It's really weird. And I hope I'm starting to get excited. And I know that logically I am, but I'm still a little like, I would rather maybe just take a nap.
Well, and that's okay too, right?
Right.
That's a choice.
Yeah.
Whatever choice it is, doesn't have to be a choice of being super busy. It could be a choice of, what do they say? Change is rest. Change is rest.
They say that?
Yes, they do. And I remember hearing that and going, "What? Are you kidding me?" Because change is all of those things, right? We can change internally while we're doing nothing.
Yeah.
And some people think, "Oh, I have to be doing all the time." That's not
Well, the
true.
one thing I'm doing all the time is movement. I'm moving my body every single day now, no matter what. And I
Oh,
love it. I mean, nothing,
yes.
I mean, I'm not like, lifting up big
Who cares?
weights.
You're moving. Hey, you're
I'm
moving.
moving.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's really great.
Oh, Jane, I'm so happy that you and I keep in touch because I will be monitoring you because I just feel like there's not monitoring. Maybe that's
No,
not the
no,
right word.
yeah,
I will
please
be
do.
watching.
Yeah.
I will be watching you because it's so fun to see you go into the next phase and especially knowing your history. I cannot wait to see what's next for you. So Seriously, I thank you so, so much for joining us. And so, you have so many golden nuggets. And we're going to have all of Jane's links on the show notes so you can look her up and check out all her stuff. And Jane, thank you so much. It was such a joy.
You're
So fun to
such a
talk to you.
pleasure. I appreciate your work. I appreciate your honesty and your frankness. I really do. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, that's it for now. Until next time. Thanks for listening to the Journeys Through Change podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or really wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to follow us and leave a review if you've enjoyed this episode. And share it with a friend or on social media to spread the good word, so more women like you can find us and join in on the fun. For more information on the podcast or Day by Day book, go to livedaybyday.com.